Before you watch this episode of our cityCURRENT radio show, I want to invite you to join cityCURRENT's e-learning and online personal development platform called GrowthCurrent. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the cityCURRENT radio show and CEO of cityCURRENT. GrowthCurrent is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Being online, you can join us from anywhere in the world. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Check out growthcurrent.com to learn more and to join us in our efforts to power the good. And now, on to the show. Welcome to the cityCURRENT radio show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, powering the good in our community. And we're going to kick it off with some law and some legal advice and expertise. Joining us is Roger Barton. He is the managing partner with Barton LLP. How are you doing, Roger?
I'm great, Jeremy. Good to see you.
So let's dive in. Barton LLP, obviously working heavily in the legal arena, and you've got multiple offices, including in Nashville, but give us some perspective on Barton LLP.
Sure. Our firm is what we call a mid-sized firm. We have 40 lawyers. We opened the office in Nashville about a year ago. Up until then, our only office has been in New York City. We practice in commercial areas, corporate law, business law, really any types of transactions, owner issues, and so forth. We also litigate. So if a transaction goes bad, we'll be there to pick up the pieces also.
Talk about forming the agency, because I think when you talk about the firm overall, you compete with big law, but the reality is you have the expertise, but you do it in a different way. And so talk about kind of how you're set up in your model.
Sure. Well, the tagline of the firm is Discover Better Law. And we really think, that resonates not just with clients, but also the lawyers that are in our firm. We looked at, and I came out of a very large firm. I came out of the fifth largest firm in the country with over 800 lawyers. And, I studied the sort of the business of law. And I said, is this really the best way to practice law? Is this the best way to deliver legal services? And in certain instances, it can be. There are certain issues that require a firm of that size or expertise that you might find at a firm of that size. But for most businesses, most business owners, you don't need a firm of that size, but you want excellent lawyers. So we set out to create a firm with really best of breed lawyers out of those firms with excellent training, sophistication, knowledge, and so forth, but who want to practice in a more hands-on and efficient environment, more user-friendly to the client, if you will. So we filled the firm with those types of lawyers and looked at it to make sure that we cover, the landscape. We're not full service, but we call broad service. So for a business, we could be your outside general counsel because we have corporate lawyers, we have employment lawyers, we have real estate lawyers, tax lawyers, so forth and so on, intellectual property. So you come to us, we're a full scope firm in that respect. And that gives us, platform and power to go against the big firms because in work that they shouldn't be doing, we can do very efficiently and very well. And, we take their lawyers, we take their clients. It's good fun.
Talk about international, because this is something that does separate you all out. And when you talk about Nashville, people don't realize the scope of the international business. So talk about the international side of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. 25% of our client base is based outside the United States. These are foreign businesses, investment funds, wealthy individuals, and so forth, who want to engage in activity in the United States. We're an attractive firm for those types of businesses because in Europe, for example, if you're a 40 lawyer firm, you're probably one of the bigger firms, or at least well into the mid range of firms that they're used to. So they see our firm as a very, familiar and attractive option. We have clients from 41 different countries, which is a lot of fun because you get a sort of cultural overlay as well. And have, taken companies from 2 people in an office up to hundreds of people as they grow over time. And again, the different departments in our firm are able to give their resources as the companies need it. I look in some ways, in Nashville in the same way. Nashville, I'm not sure if people outside of Nashville really know this, but in terms of foreign direct investment, Nashville rates in the top. I think in 2018 it was number 2 in creating job creation from foreign businesses. So there's a huge, population of foreign workers, foreign businesses, foreign capital that's come into Nashville. And, that's squarely within our expertise. So it's a good fit for us.
You don't obviously have to name specific names, keeping the confidentiality, but give us an overview of some of the different types of challenges or opportunities that your clients are looking at. So what's on their plate, so to speak, that you're helping them deal with right now?
Yeah, well, it's, the COVID experience, is really, I think, turned things, I don't say upside down, but, Warren Buffett has a saying that, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked. The pressures that COVID has created really has shown that, businesses that were on the verge of making it or not making it have been decimated. Businesses that are in industries like you have in Nashville, hospitality and entertainment and so forth, are just it's really decimated. And on the other hand, we've got clients who are in private equity or who are in manufacturing and distribution and home building and so forth, that they've never been busier. So it's really kind of a tale of two different worlds in this pandemic. So we find ourselves, our bankruptcy group is busy helping companies to restructure and retrench and so forth, access government programs like the PPP loans and so forth. And then our transactional folks are busy as can be, with clients who are looking at this as a buying opportunity. They're seeing companies that can be accessed for much less money than they could have had otherwise. So it's both ends of the spectrum. And then we do represent individuals as well, in areas such as trust and estates and matrimonial, which, for reasons you can imagine, are busy during this time as well. So it's a mixed bag. It really is.
For you internally as Barton LLP, what's something that you have done during the pandemic that you think, hey, this has helped us, or it's going to make us stronger coming out?
Well, I think technology. I mean, just the mere fact that you and I are looking at each other on a Zoom call right now, we were not nearly ready for, the remote working world. In January, not that I saw nearly what was going to happen, but I was concerned and, met with our IT folks and said to them, can you assure me that 100% of our people can work remotely 100% of the time? And they said, no. I said, well, I think we have 4 to 6 weeks to figure this out. So, that's certainly a trend that got accelerated. I think that, people are, creatures of habit and comfort and social animals, that this remote working is not going to be, permanent. I think that we will come back together, but there will be elements of it that seep into our day to day. So I think that, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing some acceleration of trends, and particularly in the remote working environment. You're seeing a lot of efficiencies come in. I'm by day, I'm a litigator as well as running a firm, and courts are having, Zoom court appearances. I flew out to California a year ago for a 2-hour court appearance. So that was 2 days of my time for 2 hours in the court. That's not going to happen anymore. So there'll be efficiencies, but there's, also challenges that come with it.
Yeah, that's a interesting when you talk about just the travel to California, for instance, for the 2 hour that now you can do on Zoom and how that's normalized, but how it will really change the game in some possible good ways. What's something you've seen from a client perspective that you thought this is either innovative or something that's a really good lesson that they've learned and applied that you would share?
I think, the biggest crunch that clients have faced is, supply chain. Many of our clients, whether they're in retail or wholesale or manufacturing distribution, For years, people have tried to squeeze down the amount of inventory they've kept on hand. They've put their manufacturing facilities overseas. They've done things to try to, save the pennies, be as efficient as they possibly could because margins got so tight. And now they see that, supply chain is really critical to be, not just pandemic proof, but, to have redundancy. And I think that's going to be a trend, you'll see. And I think as it relates to Nashville, I think it's a trend that'll benefit Nashville because there will be manufacturing, in distribution facilities that are, we know they're already there in Nashville, but I think you're going to see a big increase given, I say accommodations, but the natural attractions that Nashville has and Middle Tennessee, frankly, for those things. So I think that's something really to keep an eye on.
Where do you like to, going back to the analogy, like you said, when the tide goes out, you can kind of see who's naked. Where do you like to start when you're sitting down with a business, especially for the first time, and really getting a broad stroke of where they are and what their needs are? It's one thing if they're coming with an urgent need in that moment, but if you're sitting down and looking at it from a proactive standpoint, what are the questions you like to ask? What are the things that you like to look at?
Yeah, that's a great question. For us, and I think one of the ways we like to distinguish ourselves, you asked about the culture of our firm, is, we're business people who practice law. And we really look at each client to understand and get to know their business first. A lot of times people will come in like you go to the doctor, my shoulder hurts, or I have this issue in my business. Okay, but tell me, give me the history, give me the full story. How does your business work? Because then I know why your shoulder hurts or what, the specific issue may be. I always tell even the young lawyers in the firm, don't let the client tell you what, they think their case is. Let's find out ourselves and then we'll go from there. So learning the business, that's really critical. Get into understanding the goals, the challenges, the opportunities, what their threats may be, who the competition is, where they fit in, because representing thousands of businesses as we do, and having the relationships that help businesses, like with banks, with private equity, with accounting firms, with resources that we can bring, we can look and see, diagnose the client, so to speak, and bring all that to bear. So that's the fun in it, actually.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, you know the questions to really ask to help them be a lot more introspective, but ultimately to get to your prompt or to get to your point, you can figure out the real root of the problem or the opportunities versus kind of what they're viewing it on the surface level, which is really important. Talk about philanthropy, talk about community service, because that is a big part of what you do and the culture and the DNA of Barton LLP. And, you look at Nashville, Best Buddies is one of the nonprofits, but in New York, you've got quite a few different ones as well. Sanctuary for Families, City Harvest. So talk about philanthropy and just giving back.
Sure. Well, it's core to, again, our culture and who we are. And, we're very fortunate to be able to do what we do and do well at it. So, giving back is important. We have a few different ways that we promote that within the firm. One specifically is if there's a lawyer who has a cause that they are substantively involved with, we will write a check and support them in what they're doing. We also try to take on a few charities, and you mentioned, for example, Sanctuary for Families, Build is another one, where we think their mission can be supported not just with money, but also with our efforts. So Sanctuary is one of the leading nonprofits that supports victims of domestic violence and abuse. So obviously we support them financially, but we also provide legal services. They have a program for, it's obviously mostly women who need protective orders, need a place to stay, need to have their children taken care of. So we provide tutoring, we provide mentorship for the kids. For the women who are coming back into the workforce, they have a 3-month program where for 6 weeks, the women are trained on office systems like Microsoft and those types of things, resume writing, and then they come out into an intern program, and we host the interns. So give them, again, something to put on their resume, some office experience, get them transitioned back into the workforce. So, Build is similar, which is directed towards providing entrepreneurship programs to inner city and under-resourced high school students. So because we represent a lot of entrepreneurs, we can also help mentor those children and so forth. So, not just write the check, but also, get in there and do the work, and it becomes part of our culture.
Yeah, I love it. Last question is the easy one, is where do we go to learn more? So website, social media, where do we go to learn more about Barton LLP?
Well, that's bartonesq.com is our website. And on there, you can link into all the, LinkedIn, Twitter, all that good stuff. So bartonesq.com.
You make it easy. Well, Roger, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's great fun. Take care.